that natural reaction. But so you said that Becky Lynch got
All right.
pregnant,
Let's.
but
If we're in the cage, we gotta do disclaimers. So, welcome everybody to your no hold barred edition of the cage with Charles. The reason why it's no hold barred is because we thought the game was over for the day, and they were like, "Wait a second, stipulation, just like Money in the Bank, you cash in your contract, you cash in everything you got." Full disclaimer: wrestling is not fake; it is scripted. It is a dance. It is poetry in motion about men and women chasing titles, chasing guaranteed contracts, blood feuds, and a little sense of reality and the beauty of motherhood and fatherhood and everything that comes into it, because life is about creation. When we destroy, we create, and when we create, we destroy, and we get background noise as well. So the reason why we're bringing this out is because Money in the Bank was this weekend. It was great. For all intents and purposes, I had fun with it. They filmed the ladder match as the cinematic kind of feel that they did with Undertaker and AJ. So this was another one of those cinema matches that come in. Otis won for the men's. We'll talk about that on a different day because we're going on the real part that matters. Asuka won the briefcase in the women's. I'm like, that's great. Asuka's my favorite women's wrestler. She's fantastic. She's a worker. She's been kind of pushed into this empty arena. And then the next day, Monday, there's like a little thing on the Twitter feed. Oh, Becky Lynch, your current Raw Women's Champion, is going to make a startling announcement. And I'm like, Vince, is this a swerve? And then as Andrew said off the air, he says...
Hold on. Explain to me what a swerve is.
So basically it's just coming out of nowhere just to reel you in, get you attached in, and then something completely different. Like Otis winning the Money in the Bank is like a swerve, or it's like, psych! You thought I was going to do that, but not. That's kind of what like a swerve kind of is. So the thoughts kind of came in. So people are like, she's injured, or they're going to just do a story because she had the belt for almost 400 days, and she's going to pull this whole thing where she's like going to vacate it and go over to SmackDown and beat Bayley and do all this other stuff. Or then she's like pregnant. And I'm like, well, no, right? Because I'm almost certain Vince has you sell your soul and your reproductive parts, right? It just feels like a Vince McMahon thing to do, that if you want to be famous. And the thing is, Becky has, for all intents and purposes, been the face of the company with the concept of the man since she became the man, winning the women's championship numerous times for Raw and SmackDown, main evented WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. Had not lost clean for almost 400 days. The last person to do that was Asuka, who so happened to win the Money in the Bank contract. So I thought she was just burnt out. I knew she was kind of going with her career. She appeared on an episode of Billionaires or Billions, that show on Showtime I don't watch because Showtime show qualities aren't really that good. Dexter broke my heart. What can I say? But I'm thinking about, like, man, she hasn't really wrestled since WrestleMania when she beat Shayna. I'm like, what if she's pregnant? She's engaged to Seth Rollins. And then, like, the leaks where I was like, oh, she's pregnant. And I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it. Vince McMahon does a lot of stuff. Vince McMahon faked his own death. There's things that he has done that I'm just like, nah. And Andrew said it greatly. He's like, oh, what if it's a swerve? What if he's just paying for the baby? When you said the paying for the baby,
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, are they gonna kill a baby? Are they gonna have a miscarriage? Like, are they gonna go that far?
Or Andrew's just like, what if it's not really like a baby? And I'm like, I felt so proud. It's like seeing a baby, make its first steps. And then Becky gets out there and she's like, lean on, and then Asuka comes out, and because she has Asuka's briefcase, and then she proceeds to tell the world, hey, the briefcase wasn't for the contract to cash in, it's for the title. And then Asuka, as great as she is, just jubilant, because I don't think she knew. The reports say she knew. She was just dancing around because she's a professional. And so she's dancing around, she comes back in, and then Becky is like, oh, you enjoy being a warrior, I'm gonna go home and be a mother. And then Asuka And then so, like, I gotta tell you, I welled up in the eyes a little bit. Not so much for Becky, who on my tier of best women wrestlers currently is on like the third on the list. It's kind of like that, wrestling's a connector of feelings and emotions. And, it's a soap opera, it's a competitive streak, it's rehearsed, whatever you want to call it. But also, you empathize because you support somebody, you buy their merchandise, you do stuff like that. I mean, I don't have a Becky Lynch shirt, but I always supported her and her endeavors because I felt that she was always all overshadowed by Charlotte Flair. But it was Asuka kind of breaking character, because Asuka, who didn't know what was going on, just goes, mother? And then she's like, oh my God! And she was like, congratulations! And then she tries to go back to being like this evil heel character. And she's like, yeah, Becky! And she's like dancing around. And I'm just like, oh, well, this kills two things. It's like, one, Asuka cannot be a heel now because she had because Asuka's like shouting and everything.
So
and she
that
goes,
was like a genuine moment of like out of character, like she wasn't in character there. She was just like,
yeah,
"Oh wow, Will, congratulations! I'm so
yeah,
happy for you."
and you catch her as she's shouting, like, I'm so happy for you, kind of thing. And you're like, oh man. So I felt that. So now you just made somebody who was a heel into a face, and all perfect for Asuka to be a
It
champion.
was like watching Bill Belichick have a dog.
It is exactly that. It is exactly that.
Do you know what's even worse? What's even worse is that I unearthed a little, I don't want to call it documentary, but it was a video of, and this was done before the draft, of Belichick and his, I think, girlfriend, they said, and the dog, introducing the dog. It was like a whole 5-minute thing just on the dog, and I'm like, oh
Bill
my
gets
God.
it. Bill gets
I can't take it. This is, no, you can't humanize this man. It's not allowed.
He does have a soul.
Well, he just hides it so much. You know who doesn't have a soul? Vince McMahon. Because, Vince was basically crying when he heard that news, but it was very heartfelt. Becky's walking out, the camera goes to her, and she's like, oh, I'll miss you guys, to like the fans. And one of the rules in Vince's wrestling world is you don't look at the camera, you don't direct the fans for whatever reason. So there's people like backstage, and I gotta tell you guys, Twitter is savage as F, because it was kind of funny because the father is Seth Rollins, right? That's her fiance. Seth had a reputation of being like a guy who puts people on the shelf because he ended Sting's career. He put Finn Balor on the shelf with a separated shoulder at their SummerSlam match. So Twitter's just like, oh, good job, Seth. No one could put an end to Becky or end Becky's career except for you.
Oh
you put her on the shelf, and it was great. And I gotta tell you, Seth Rollins, aside from having a fantastic match at Money in the Bank with Drew McIntyre to put Drew over, he played the whole like shocked father thing like perfectly. His hair looked like it hadn't been conditioned for days. He was despondent. Rey Mysterio's going to him, and he's just like, hey man, congratulations, be Father's Day. And he's not even acknowledging him. They had a match, a tag team match, and it was like 12 minutes long, 15 minutes long. 13 minutes and 45 seconds of it is just Seth on the ropes staring off into oblivion. He looked how I felt when I took the bar exam, when you came out of it and you're like, you don't know what happened. You're like, my life just changed and I don't know what. It is not basically, it is not one of those romantic songs about being a happy father. It's not like Creed with Arms Wide Open, if you want to go on a callback right there.
Well, let's go way back there when I Love Lucy, when she revealed to Ricky that they were going to have a baby, it wasn't that. That's going way back now, but still.
Oh yeah, Seth was just like shocked, and so his tag team partner was like, "Come on, Seth, tag me in." And then what happened was like Rey Mysterio hits Seth, and Seth just like snaps and loses it, and just beats the hell out of Rey, and to the point where he was trying to push his eye through the steel steps in the barricade, and then it was just hilarious because Twitter just compounds it. But in the backstage at the match, because they get disqualified, lose, Aleister Black's like, "What the hell, man?" And Seth's like, "I don't know what came over me. I'm sorry, that wasn't me, man." And I was just like, my God, the comedy, because sometimes comedy is really what helps accentuate the benefits of wrestling to make you really appreciate it. So Seth was just fantastic, and then the Twitter was just great, and then someone was savage, and I'm just going to say it now. Charlotte Flair is a fantastic wrestler. I feel she has been overexhausted in her character, but someone on Twitter, because she's engaged to Andrade, so someone on Twitter just goes and says, all right, now if Andrade could just take the L and then bring a baby out of the way, we get new women wrestling. And I was just like dead on the floor. I'm like, guys, some of the stuff, and then Shayna Baszler, who had heat with Becky Lynch, not real life, but just, it was the feud that they had, was just good because they let her be a true heel, where she was saying, so what about being motherhood? You got knocked up as the height of your championship. Congratulations for a parasite. I'm like, damn, girl. I'm like, I felt it. I'm like, that's how you get that heat over. I'm like, you know what? And she's like, and she says something so great. She's like, that baby's going to be a loser. Have you seen who her father is? I'm like, damn, piping hot. The tea was good. The tea was hot, man, because you got to want to make people insulted. And the thing is, Shayna Baszler, MVP, real MVP, right, of wrestling over this last weekend is Shayna Baszler. Not only does she pull out some zingers, she's the queen of spades. Well, Shayna, I'm from now calling you the queen of shade, because you were throwing that shade at Becky Lynch. You were throwing that shade at Seth Rollins. You threw that like shade at Natalya, because Natalya in her match before was just like, how dare you insult the glorious thing of motherhood. Mind you guys, this is a day after Mother's Day, right? Shayna goes and says, how are you going to tell me about motherhood when everybody knows that the Hart dynasty dies with you? because Natalia doesn't have a kid. She's married to TJ Wilson. She's part of Hart Dynasty. I was like, ooh, girl, you're the queen of shade. I was feeling it. Not only did she become like my new hero of Smack Talk because I love that stuff, she choked out Rey Mysterio at Money in the Bank. I think I sent you guys that photo because I love Rey Mysterio for what he did in the past. I'm not crazy about Rey Mysterio in my TV spotlight now because it's time for the new people. So there's a point in the elevators or in the hallway where the men and the women interacted, and she choked out Rey. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like she choked him out like it was legitimate. I'm like, she sold it. She's my hero. Shayna Baszler, you the real MVP, my queen of shade. I love it so much. And then, we'll talk more about Money in the Bank results differently because I was just such a bigger thing that came into it because it's Becky's not going to be back, guys, for a while. I think me and my friend were talking about it. I think this is like legitimately the end for at least 2-3 years because, she's going to want to take care of the kid. She vacated her title. It's not just 9 months and then baby, you come back to work. It's rearing a child. It's getting back into wrestling shape. And, Seth Rollins, one of them's going to be back on the road. So do you want to have a road baby where it's you, your kid, and your husband, and then maybe a dog on the road all the time? Nah. So it says something, and it's one of those few times where if this is the end of her career, at least she goes off, with a very strong ending. And so congratulations to her for her listening to the Little Sports Goof podcast. You can always join us since you're going to be at home with motherhood. Come join us. We'd love to hear about your interactions. Congrats to Seth Rollins for now elevating, your character from being the Monday Night Messiah, which I was a fan of, to now just the Manson murderer. Because he looks deranged. He literally looks like Charles Manson. So I'll send you guys a Twitter feed on that. And then good luck, Vince, trying to make new stars now. How about you push Asuka a little bit? Not have her lose the title on some BS stuff. And also congratulations to Shayna Baszler, my queen of shade, for not just choking out Rey Mysterio, but spitting that hard truth that sometimes motherhood ain't that great, right? Good job, guys. And that's my special no holds barred edition of the cage.
Oh boy, that was great. See, we needed to do that. We need to do that separately. And Andrew, can you please lead us in our real MVP? Because that's also missing from all this.
Yeah. As always, our real MVP of the week is the heroes that are on the front line of the CV response. That's our first responders, police and fire, hospital workers, doctors, nurses, people working in restaurants. I know I keep saying, and all at all, etc. That really doesn't do it justice because there are just so many tens of thousands of people that are putting themselves at risk to keep things going, and one little me can't thank everyone individually or even just the groups of people, but everyone out there who is out there on a daily basis, helping things run, we thank you.
That's great. Thank you. I don't have any individuals to pop up here, but I guess we'll end it officially now. We'll end this episode officially, all right?
Alrighty.
Technical difficulties abounded, but I think for the most part, it went as well as it could have. Being this new computer and everything, it hasn't exploded compared to the other one. It has
a good start.
Yeah, it has rammed this game here. We're at the 1080p, 60 frames. We haven't lost any frames because I have the little marker on the bottom right that says drop frames. It is a steady 0, which has, I don't think, ever happened for us. So that is great. And thank you guys for joining me for this one. And hopefully tomorrow things will be a lot smoother because Andrew and I are going to be calling a college baseball game or two. And that's going to be really interesting. Actually, I'm really, really looking forward to it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
All right. So that's all we got. So tune in for that tomorrow. I would assume, I don't know what time we'll figure out a time. I don't know. I have no idea. 7 or 8. Who knows? It'll be there. I'm done. Bye.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Shayna, for choking out Ray.
Okay. Kinky. All right.
The pass falls incomplete. Number 6, the intended receiver on the play. 4th and